Yeah, so we meet again. Every other digit out. This will be fun. The lamp matrix PIA, the center one, which is generally the cause of the every other digit issue. I'm testing it on my Neolock Inquisitor. No longer available, unfortunately, and you can see that this PIA is cracked. And let's test a new PIA. These Neolock testers are outstanding. I really hope the fella gets back into making these again. Back on the bench now and replacing the lamp matrix 6821 did in fact clear up the issue with the every other digit being displayed on the back glass or on the score displays. But what I am tracking down right now is that the special solenoid circuit for this transistor is not working correctly. And it receives a signal from this 7408 to turn it on via this other circuitry, the pre-drive transistor and the transistor. So I've done a little preliminary work with my logic probe, and I saw that this gate was not pulsing. And now I am on the bench and I'm going to diode test this integrated circuit. And I'll do the whole thing just for giggles. And that reading is fine. All these, let's see, fine. All that's fine. Here's the suspect leg, and you can see that's measuring about 1.1. That's definitely out of spec. Now, the only two reasons that that could be is that either this chip's failed or the thing that this leg is attached to has failed. But let's move on to the next one, and we see we've got a short on pin 13. So that is very suspicious. I'm going to take that chip out and let's see if that rectifies the problem. And here we have the second PIA. This is a switch matrix PIA that has clearly failed. That was the special solenoid that was not working, and the root cause of that was a failed IC6, and also the switch matrix PIA pin 19 provides a signal called enable 3 that enables the special solenoids to operate. Black Knight Williams System 7 board pair, MPU and driver board. This was quite a haul, a long haul to get these two boards working together. And I started on the driver board and I rolled in some video of the driver board repair. In total, it had a dead 7408 at IC6, and it had two dead 6821 PIAs. Both of those I have socketed and replaced. The client had already replaced the 40-pin female side of the connector, but I also replaced all of the headers all the way around and the 5-volt filter cap. You just cannot trust those old headers because of fractured solder joints and a number of other things. On the MPU board, somebody had replaced the male headers, but they used the typical short 0.156 pins. I have a stockpile of the longer pins which allow the board to mate properly and still sit on the ledge that the MPU board sits on. I added a blanking indication. The 7-segment LED display was not operating, and that turned out to be a failed 7447, which I have a stockpile of those also, and that brought that back to life. The NVRAM module was dead, so I replaced it with a new one from Pinitech, and the ROMs were all suspect. Those were the old mask ROMs, and one of the EPROMs didn't verify either. So I burnt an entire set of ROMs, and that was the last thing I did that brought this board back to life. For System 7 driver boards, it's also advisable to replace the resistors, I believe they're 4.7K, that are in this column and this one, with 0 ohm jumpers or just wire jumpers. It makes the switch matrix more sensitive. So here we go. We are in attract mode. Display test. And this is a System 6 display panel, so some of the displays will look a little funny since Black Knight is a System 7 game. The next test is sound test. So this bank of LEDs represents each sound that would be made in sound test. And those are driven by this 6821, and that is working perfectly. Lamp test. All lamps working properly now. And solenoid test, and the only coil that's on is the coin lockout coil, which will extinguish as the test passes that. The 3 LEDs on my tester that are adjacent to the coin lockout coil look like they're illuminated. That's just the brightness from the coin lockout one. And you can see they've gone out. So those are the special solenoids, and I also have my custom sound and coil tester doodad, so I can simulate a switch closure on each of those special solenoids, and this is the way it would operate in the game. So those are all working perfectly. And the next test is switch test, for which I use my Finitech tester, and I'm going to go down column 1, and now I'm going to go across row 1, and let me see what the last switch is for Black Knight. Looks like 46. A lucky guess. There's 46. All the switches operating correctly. And now we're back into audits and adjustments. I have set the game to free play by setting adjustment 18 to 0. And since there's NVRAM in the board, when the client gets the game back, it'll be ready to go on free play. Lamp matrix returning to normal attract mode operations. The only coil that's on is the coin lockout coil again. We are good to go. Thank you so much for sending this board pair. This was quite an adventure. Oh, I forgot to add that I added a blanking indication. That's the blue-green LED it looks like in the video. And I'll put a label on that also. Thank you so much.